Of all the games I saw at PAX East, I think I spent the most time looking at Strayed Lights. There's just something about this game's color and the combat and the way it looks that kept drawing me back in. And with that, the devs were kind enough to give me a review code for the game, so I finished it and now I'm ready to tell you all about it. This is a mostly spoiler-free review. We're not going to be talking about story in detail, but we will see some combat things that you unlock throughout the game. You can buy this game on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, Steam, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. It's an action-adventure game that has a heavy focus on parrying, but it also has a heavy focus on colors. It's not enough to just learn an enemy's timings, you also have to keep an eye on what color they are when they attack you. So you're gonna get into this groove of changing your color and parrying and changing your color back and not changing your color. It's a very rhythmic experience. So that's the ground floor of the combat, and on top of that you can layer some unlockable abilities that can suit your playstyle. Whether you want to focus on the stun ability or the lunge ability or even an ability that lets you block no matter what color you are, this is what you can do to sort of branch out and create your own playstyle in Strayed Lights. When it comes to moving through levels, you'll actually fight enemies here and there. They're not the main focus of the game. You're really going towards a boss at the end of each area. That being said, the enemies that are on the way to the boss are no pushovers. They also have their own mechanics that you want to keep an eye on. They have their own timings that you have to learn. In some cases, I had more trouble with the regular enemies than I did the bosses. But we'll talk more about this game's difficulty later in the video. Strayed Lights tells you its story silently with motions and colors and scenes. I think there's a lot of room for interpretation with what's going on in stories that have a silent narrative, and I think it's a really powerful way to tell the story. As I stated earlier, each area focuses on a boss that you'll fight at the end, but you'll meet them throughout the level and you'll learn their story as you go. So you're not just rushing to the boss room, you're also meeting them and seeing what their quirks are as you move through the level. Without digging too deep into what the story actually is, you'll encounter enemies that embody rage or grief or curiosity. Between the silent narrative and the colors and the scenes and the set pieces that this game shows you, the story feels really heartfelt. So while this game is very fast-paced and action and timing oriented, there's also a lot of time for you to just relax and take in the scenes. Areas are genuinely fun to explore. There's not a lot to them. They're a little empty, but they look really pretty. The platforming is quite basic. You just use it as a means to get from area to area. There's no real jumping puzzles. There's no real jumping timing. You just have to not fall. There might have been some room for some color-coded puzzles in this game, but regardless, I didn't find that to be a negative. I didn't mind exploring just to get from A to B. And whenever I did decide to venture off the beaten path, I would usually find an upgrade item that would let me increase my abilities or unlock new ones. Each area's music perfectly suited the scene and the mood they were going to set, and that just made it all feel very cohesive. So let's talk about this game's difficulty because it does vary as it moves on. While the game is not explicitly broken up into chapters, there are certain moments where you can see things turn. And in those moments, I would say the difficulty goes up just a little bit, and this is just something to keep in mind as you play it, but there are difficulty spikes towards the end of the game. Essentially, what winds up happening is you'll fight two enemies at once more often, and boss's timing just gets a lot more tighter and a little more different when it comes to the color swapping. There are moments where it feels a little unfair, but I promise you that the game's difficulty is learnable and the checkpoints are fair. Strayed Lights is also not a very long game, and it does a lot with the time that it gives you. Strayed Lights gives you a world where the combat is fun to master even though it is a little difficult at times, and a world that's simply nice to be in. It might have benefited from some puzzle solving involving the colors, but regardless, I had a great time with this game all the same. It's very atmospheric and it's one of the most relaxing experiences I've had playing a game that focuses on combat. It also might have been nice to see some more character combat customization. It was nice to have abilities to choose from and to focus on. Unless you really look for all the upgrade materials, you're gonna wind up not unlocking everything, which in my opinion is good because then you felt a little more inclined to focus on what you like. But with its brisk play time, this game is perfect to enjoy over a weekend. It's really chill, it's also a lot of fun and difficult at parts. I hope this video helped you decide whether or not you're gonna play Strayed Lights. I had a great time covering this game. Thanks again to the devs for letting me play it early. I really appreciate that. Gave me a chance to actually finish a game. I'm not often somebody who beats a game that fast, and I did find myself kind of glued to this one. Anyway, I will see you in the next video.